The last thing I'll just add about that is what's most worrisome to me. I'm worried about him getting elected because of our electoral college. There's no way he'll win a popular the popular vote, but that doesn't matter. I'm much more worried about the people that the Trump Republicans have planted throughout the swing states in positions of authority having to do with counting the votes and certifying the votes. Because what we've seen from last time what held was the 63 courts who said, no, there's no fraud here. But those cases were not brought by people at the local level in those official positions. And on top of it, the Supreme Court taught us with its immunity decision before it made it that it would use delay as a way of deciding cases. Because remember how it waited so long to do that? Well, all it takes is a handful of courts that delay and a handful of cases that get up to the Supreme Court where they delay to pass the deadline and it goes to the House of Representatives. And there, each state gets one vote. And if it's 26 Republican states and 24 Democratic, like it normally is, then Donald Trump will be installed as the next president. So just in conclusion, sometimes by an extraordinary, and some might say divine roll of the dice, of the historical dice, you get a Benjamin Franklin, a Thomas Jefferson, and a George Washington all in the same place at the same time. At other times, you roll snake eyes, and you get a Donald Trump, a Ted Cruz, and a Marjorie Taylor Greene. These are the times that try men's and women's souls, and you have to preserve our democracy.
Donald Trump is just such a little man and should never again be in control of America's nuclear arsenal. We're lucky to have survived his first presidency and can't risk that our luck will endure through a second one. If there is any position that requires rational judgment, sober circumspection, wisdom, knowledge, restraint, understanding of adversaries, careful deliberation, and empathy, it's the presidency of the United States, a position that makes its occupant one of the two people in the world who have veto power over the future existence of life on this planet. Donald Trump may be the most egregiously unfit person to have that responsibility, but that's a power that no one should have. It is madness that no one stands between the President of the United States and authorization to launch America's nuclear arsenal.
Trump, when he speaks, is an entertainer. He's not a politician. He's not a philosopher. He's just a entertainer, and that's where he came from. But it's not entertaining to think of what he can do. So I am genuinely afraid of what could happen if this man has the nuclear button. So we have to have someone who is sane, someone who is reliable, and all the other factors that were mentioned already this morning by the panel. And we have to make sure that this word gets out, that this man is not to be dependent upon. Now, it has been said that we aren't able to diagnose people at a distance. I have to disagree with that, because frequently, as forensic psychiatrists, we're called upon to diagnose people from the death certificates, the medical records, with interviews in jail and places where we don't have all of the lengthy examinations that psychiatrists generally do. You can still make a diagnosis. And that's been done many times with Donald Trump. And it's very clear, as has been pointed out, that his mental faculties are deteriorating. If you try to read any of his speeches given at his rallies, he does not make sense. And it's clear that this is worse than it used to be. It was bad enough at the beginning. But there are signs of cognitive impairment now. And the mass media made much more of Biden's cognitive impairment, which is relatively mild and somehow based upon his history of stuttering when you listen to him. They don't make that much out of Trump's cognitive impairment. You wonder why.
The next president we pick is going to be one of the most consequential decisions any of us have to make, because right now we are on the kind of razor's edge of whether we're going to be able to avoid catastrophic climate change or not. This is a serious problem. We know the solution, and this election is going to decide whether or not we make a vote on behalf of our children, or whether we say, we don't care about our children at all. We do not care what world we live them. We're just going to float through the world. And if we have some bizarre notion that one particular policy of Donald Trump is somehow going to benefit us narrowly, it's still going to destroy the world for our future children and grandchildren.